What is up, beautiful people? It's your girl Cam, and I am back with another video. Today I'm coming at you with the mid-year book freakout tag. This is where I tell you all about the books that I have been reading so far this year and rank some of the books in terms of which ones are my favorite, which ones solicited or a certain reaction from me in my reading process. It's going to be a lot of fun. This tag has been around for a long time, I think maybe 10 years. This is my first year participating in it because this is the first year I've really been documenting my reading. So I thought it would be a good idea for me to join in on this tag and share my thoughts on some of my favorite and least favorite books so far this year. So if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. I hope that you will stay with me as I talk to you about this mid-year book freakout tag. Okay, so I'm going to go through all of the questions and I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the books I've been reading so far this year. So let's get right into it. They just go right to the heart of things, like go right for the jugular with the first question, and that is, what is my favorite book so far this year? And that is kind of tough because I have not been able to pick just one book that has stood out for me so far this year. I do have quite a few. I think I have about 3 or 4 that have been my favorites so far. So these are in no particular order, but the first one, and I don't have a copy of this one because I read quite a few books at the beginning of the year on my Kindle. These are going to be in no particular order, but the first one I want to mention is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I mean, what can I say about this book? The couple in this book, they're just so amazing. I love their love story. I love the tension between them. The dialogue is amazing. Tia Williams' writing style is absolutely flawless. I love her snarky style of writing. The world building in this book was really good. The characters were relatable and real. They felt like people that I knew in real life. It was just a really great love story. I haven't read a love story that good since Disappearing Acts. And I'll talk about Disappearing Acts later. But that's the first one, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Okay, next on my list of favorites is going to be The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was just so well written. The characters were awesome. They just leaped off the page. They just leapt right off the pages. The storyline was solid. The structure was great. There were lots of twists and turns and surprises all throughout this novel. Taylor Jenkins Reid's style of writing is really just very, very good. Very good. So this is one of my favorites for the year, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Next on my list of favorites is going to be Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. So Yellow Wife is just, I mean, my favorite type of book, historic fiction. The writing was amazing. The story and the plot was just impeccable. It's based on a true story. It made me, when I finished reading the book, it made me want to go and do more research on all of these characters. So the main character in this book is Phoebe Dolores Brown. She is designed after Mary Lumpkin, who is the wife. She's a biracial woman who is married to a white man who owns a slave jail. And I mean, just the story is just so heart-wrenching. She goes through so much. She sacrifices so much for her family, for her children, just so she can stay alive. It's a really good story, and it's based on a true story, and it is steeped in history and fact. And it's just this novel is built around it with these really solid characters. But it was one of my favorites this year. Sadika Johnson is a really good writer, so I really loved this book too, Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. And then last on my list of favorites so far this year is River Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shearer. This book is another work of historic fiction, and it is so well written. This writer's style reminds me a lot of Toni Morrison. She's like Toni Morrison light because I don't have to pull my dictionary out to read her work, but her style is just so smooth and seamless, and I feel like I'm right there in the world with her, with these characters as the story is unfolding. Her writing is just delicious. It's like sitting down to eat a 12-course meal at a Michelin star restaurant. I mean, it is amazing. It really is very amazing. I don't want to go into too much detail about the plot of the book yet because I haven't covered it in my June wrap-up yet, but this is an excellent book. So this is one of my favorites also for the year, and I really don't know how I'm going to decide which one is going to be my top book for 2023. I have no idea. I'm not even looking forward to my my book bracket now that I added to my journal, because it's going to be so hard to choose a #1 book. I mean, I know I'm going to struggle with that. But anyway, those are my 4 favorites so far. 7 Days in June, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Yellow Wife, and then this new one, a new favorite, River Sing Me Home. Okay, next is my favorite sequel of the year, and that's really easy for me because I don't read a lot of series. So the only book that I have read that has a sequel to it is the Bridgerton series. I read a couple of books from there, and so as I mentioned in a previous video, I think in my May wrap-up, The Viscount Who Loved Me was really a great read for me. The love story between Anthony and Catherine was just beautiful. It unfolded so beautifully in the novel, the romance written by Julia Quinn. I truly enjoyed it. I'm so glad that I took the chance to read it instead of just going off of what I saw in the series. So that's going to be my favorite sequel, The Viscount Who Loved Me from the Bridgerton series. The next question is my favorite reread of the year, and actually at this point in June I have not done my reread yet, but I do have 2 books that I'm going to be choosing between for a reread this year. One is going to be The Red Tent, and the other is going to be Disappearing Acts, and I have read both of those books before years ago, but I really want to read them again. So I'll put the covers of the books right here for you. And so I'm going to choose one or maybe even both of these books to read as rereads for the year. But for now, I haven't done any rereading. All of my reading has been brand new, but those are the 2 that are on my list, The Red Tent and Disappearing Acts. Okay, the next question is new releases that I am looking forward to reading that I haven't read yet. And I've got 2 new releases on my shelf that I'm really looking forward to. And the first one is The House of Eve, and this one is by Sadika Johnson, who wrote Yellow Wife. I'm really looking forward to this one. I have heard some mixed reviews about it, but I really enjoy Sadika Johnson's writing style, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Heard, like I said, some mixed reviews about it, but I really do enjoy Sadika Johnson's writing style, so I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy this one. That is House of Eve. And then the next book I'm looking forward to is Meet Me at the Lake, and this one is by Carly Fortune. This is from an author who wrote This is from the author who wrote Every Summer After. That was her debut novel, and it was kind of so-so for me. I gave it 3 stars. I'm hoping that she's gonna take another leap forward in her writing skills and style, and that this one might be a 4 or 5 star for me. It's also another romance. I bought this one as soon as it came. I think I pre-ordered it because I wanted to see how her writing style was going to develop. Every Summer After wasn't bad. I just felt like the last part of the book just kind of dragged on a little bit too long. Okay, the next question is a genre that I have been reading most. And this is really surprising to me because I always say that I'm not a romance reader, but I have read a lot of romances this year. I have read a ton of romances. I've read the Julia Quinn books, Bridgerton, The Duke and I, The Viscount Who Loved Me. I read 7 Days in June. I read Rebel. I read a couple of novellas that were love stories. So I've really been reading a lot of romance, and that has been very shocking to me because I don't typically think of myself as a romance reader, but that's how it's been going this year. The second genre that has really surprised me this month, specifically in this month of June, is I've been drawn to thrillers lately. Like, that has also surprised me. And I'll talk to you more about why that is when I do my June wrap up. But I've read this month One of Us is Dead and Daisy Darker, and I've listened to a couple of others, started listening to a couple of other thrillers on audio book, but that has really surprised me that I've been so interested in reading thrillers and romances. So maybe my reading taste is changing. I don't know. But that's where we are with the genre that I've been reading most so far this year. Next in the mid-year book freakout tag is a book that made me cry. And that was pretty easy for me to pick because that would be The Hate You Give. This one was such an emotional read for me. There were several points in this book where I was just overcome with emotion. It is about police brutality, and the young girl in this book who is the heroine in this novel, she just goes through so many different emotional roller coasters, but the love that her family embraces her with and the community embraces her with is just outstanding. So this is by Angie Thomas, and this is The Hate You Give, and this one did bring me to tears this year. It was an excellent book though, excellent read. Okay, next is a book that made me laugh or made me happy, and I have a couple of those. Let's start with this one. Slay was a surprising book for me. And again, I'm not going to go too much into detail because I just read this one in June and I want to wait till the June wrap up to give you all the details on it. But this one made me so happy. The ending of this book is just so delightful and so heartwarming. The ending of this book is so delightful and so heartwarming. This girl, the main character in this book, she is amazing. She is my hero. I love her. This book made me very, very happy. And then also Miss Pearlie's Girls. And I don't have a copy of that one because I listened to it on audiobook through my library, through my public library. But Miss Pearlie's Girls was another surprising book that I really, really enjoyed. And it made me so happy. I literally laughed out loud when I was listening to that book in my car. The dialogue is so relatable. The characters are so relatable. They seem like your neighbors or your cousins or your family members. The writing in that book is just so awesome, and I really felt so happy. Now, there are some devastating things that happen in the story, and I don't want to go into too much again because I read it this month, but it did make me feel so happy, and I laughed out loud when I was reading it. It was very well written. So those are the two that made me happy, Slay and Miss Pearlie's Girls. The The next question is my biggest disappointment. And I think if you have been following my channel, you may know the answer to this one, but I was really looking forward to reading Balm, B-A-L-M, I was really looking forward to reading Balm by Dolan Perkins Valdez, and I had it on my shelf for quite a while, hadn't read it, and I got into it and I DNF'd it almost right away. I just could not with the storyline of one of the main characters talking to the dead. That just was not for me. And I was so disappointed because I really loved Dolan Perkins Valdez's book Wench that came out a few years back, and I was so looking forward to another book from her, but that was not it for me. So I sold that book. I got rid of it. I don't even have a copy of it anymore. I got rid of that book, and it just was not for me. So that was my biggest disappointment for this year, and that was Balm by Dolan Perkins Valdez. Okay, so a new favorite author, and I have quite a few of them because Bolu Babalola, who wrote Honey and Spice and who wrote Love in Color, her writing style is just amazing. She has such beautiful word choice, and the way she structures her sentences, the tone of her writing, she's just really, really good. So I love her writing. She's one of my new favorite authors. Eleanor Shearer, I was just talking about, I love her writing too. Toni Morrison is my all-time favorite writer, period. And her writing reminds me quite a bit of Toni Morrison, so she's another new favorite. Another author that I'm coming to love is Taylor Jenkins Reid. She wrote The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She also wrote Malibu Rising, which I read this month as part of our book club read. I also read Evidence of the Affair. I listened to it on Audible, Evidence of the Affair that she wrote. And I just want more of her writing. Her writing style is it's flawless to me. I love the characters. I love the way she structures her novels. All of the characters seem so engaging. It's almost like you're a fly on the wall watching the different scenarios unfold in their lives. She's just a really good writer, so I want to read more from her as well. So those are my favorite new writers so far. And I know that Taylor Jenkins Reid is not new, but she's new to me. So that's why I mentioned her there, because I had not read anything from her before this year. So she's on my list. So Bolu Babalola, Eleanor Shearer, and Taylor Jenkins Reid. Those are my favorites for this year so far. The next question is a book that I need to read before the end of the year. I'm doing a book bingo challenge this year in my reading journal, and one of the challenges is to read a classic, and so I need to read a classic this year, and what I have selected for my classic to read is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I've seen Frankenstein on television before, but I've never read the original work. And this is a pretty, it looks like it'll be a pretty easy read. Well, the words are super tiny, but this is going to be pretty short. It's like it's 204 pages, which is not bad, but the words are like super tiny. But at any rate, I want to read a classic, and this is going to be the classic I'm going to read probably around October, just for some fun around Halloween time. So that's one that I need to read. And the other one, I don't have a copy of it yet, but I have another challenge in my journal that is an A to Z challenge. And I've looked all over for a book that began with Z. And so I did find Z, a novel of Zelda Fitzgerald. This is a novel about the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and when my family went to Asheville for vacation last year, we saw the home where F. Scott Fitzgerald lived, and I think Zelda also lived there with him as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this novel about her life. I think there's also a television series or a movie out about her as well, but I'm going to read the story Z, a novel of Zelda Fitzgerald, and that's going to help me to complete my A to Z reading challenge. So those are my two that I need to read before the end of the year. Next question is, what is my favorite video that I have done related to books as a content creator this year? And I would say I have two favorites. One would be my February wrap-up, where I shared all the books that I read in February because they were such good books. And then my May wrap-up was another good one that I really enjoyed because I also read some very, very delicious books in the month of May. So I will link both of those videos down below for you in case you have not seen them yet, because those are two of my favorites. Hopefully you've seen them, but if not, you can check them out and see what you think about those as well. Those are my two favorite videos from this year, my February wrap-up and my May wrap-up. And the last question for this tag is, who are some of my favorite community members that I'm watching right now? And these are, of course, related to books. So the first one is going to be Shawnaci Shroeder. And her channel is just so entertaining. She's just like raw and real, and she seems to be reading some of the same books that I'm reading. So I really like to hear her take on the books. I love to see her reading vlogs. I love to see her going to bookstores and going shopping. Recently she had a video where she went on a girls trip up to Tennessee, and they just had a good relaxing reading weekend. They went shopping, they went to some art galleries, and I just really love the cool chill vibe of her channel, and I like the fact that she's reading some of the same books that I am reading, and I love to hear her take on them. So that's going to be Shawnaci Shroeder. Next is BooksandLala, and I've been watching a lot of her videos. And on her channel, she talks about genres that I'm not really into. She reads a lot of like horror and thrillers, but I love to hear her talk about the books, and that may be why I started reading so many thrillers, because she was making some thriller recommendations. But I love the fact that she has all different types of challenges on her channel. She challenges herself to read books that she read when she was in high school. She challenges herself to read books that she DNF'd previously. She challenges herself to read books that were very low rated on Goodreads. Or that do not have a very good reputation, because she wants to see what it is that people are not enjoying about the book. So I love the fact that she has a lot of videos that she puts up every week, and she challenges herself to read lots of different types of books and lots of different levels of books that are high rated, books that are low rated, and she gives you her take on that. And I love her relatable. It's just like you're talking to a friend, like you're sitting down chatting with a friend about some books that she's read lately. So that is BooksandLala. And finally, who I've been watching for quite a while now is Bookish Realm. I love her channel because I don't always agree with her review of the books, and I don't always want to read the books that she's talking about. Like I don't read as much YA, and I don't read manga at all, and she talks about manga. But I love the fact that she is a librarian, and she brings a different perspective to the book community. And just book readers in general. Especially, she taught me a lot about banned books and why it's important for us to kind of push back against books being banned. So I've learned quite a bit from her, and that is Bookish Realm, and I'm going to link all three of their channels down below. And I also want to link a video from Shawnaci Shroeder that talks about 10 black female BookTube creators here on YouTube. I just saw that video when I was doing research for this one that I'm filming now, and I was like, I need to go back and check out some of these YouTubers who talk about books and talk about reading. So I'm going to link that one down for you. I'm going to link that one for you down below from Shawnaci Shroeder to give you some insight into some other Black booktubers here on YouTube who could use our support and who also have great content. So those are my 3 favorite community members in the BookTube arena right now: Shawnaci Shroeder, BooksandLala, and the Bookish Realm. And that's going to do it for me for this tag. This is the mid-year book freakout tag. So far this year I have read 50 books, y'all. Like, can we even believe that? I cannot believe that I have read 50 books, but it has been so fun. It has been great escapism for me. I have found some new authors that I really like. I've discovered some books that I love. I have discovered some new YouTube content creators that I love. And I've been able to share my love of reading with you, and this has been so much fun. So if you want to play along with this tag and maybe you don't have a YouTube channel, answer 1 or 2 of the questions down in the comments. Answer a couple of questions that I answered in the comments. Tell me what your responses might be, maybe to your favorite book, or the biggest disappointment for you, or the book that you're looking forward to reading this year. Choose one of the questions and answer it down in the comments. And thank you so much for joining me for this video. And before I go, I want to tag my planner bestie, Larissa of Be You Beautiful One, to play along with this tag too. I know she's been reading quite a bit this year as well, and I would love to hear the answers to these questions from her. So Larissa, if you're watching this video, I tag you to answer these same mid-year book freakout tag questions for all the books that you've read so far this year. I hope that you're reading some good books. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that the rest of your year is full of love, joy, and most of all, peace. See you next time.